We're really glad that you're our friend, and this is a friendship that'll never ever end.
As we enter another week in the biggest mystery in the Bray Wyatt story, where we look at how Bray Wyatt could return to the WWE, where, why, when. Obviously, we got to look at what happened on Raw, and you pretty much can guarantee that with what Alexa Bliss did, throwing the fireball at Randy Orton, that the feud between The Fiend and Randy Orton isn't over yet. But it gives us an opportunity to look at more Firefly Funhouse Unsolved mysteries. Now, if you don't know, last week we did a whole 20-minute video of part 1. This is part 2. There's a lot of mysteries, let's be fair, but we're going to start off with Alexa Bliss, because she's obviously the topic of conversation right now with what she did on Raw last week, and obviously you gotta wonder about Alexa's playground. Now, Alexa has told us that this playground was built by The Fiend for her. Now, if that's the case, why did she then say she can't wait for him to come back and see it? If he built it, surely he knows what it looks like. We know Bray Wyatt's Firefly Funhouse is a safe place for Bray Wyatt and his friends that The Fiend created for him. So we kind of assume that for Alexa's playground, but it doesn't make sense that if The Fiend built it, why has The Fiend never seen it? The only thing I'm thinking is, when Bray and when Alexa refer to him, we've always assumed that they're referring to The Fiend, right? Maybe, just maybe, there's somebody else. One more character in the dark, twisted mind of Bray Wyatt. One even more powerful than The Fiend. Maybe. And maybe that's the reason why Alexa hinted before about who does The Fiend worship? Who does The Fiend pray to? It would be interesting, and it could explain about The Fiend's return at the same time, maybe? Speaking of Alexa, what the hell is that? While we're waiting for some character change in Alexa, some people want a Sister Abigail character, others want a Fiendess character. We saw Bray Wyatt use the heel glove on her, seemingly to possess her, and all of a sudden, she's got a giant lizard tongue, like, just hanging out of her mouth. Now, the assumption is the heel glove possessed Alexa Bliss. We saw her go off into some weird-ass trance after Bray used the heel glove on her. Now, possession is kind of like being a cult leader, and that's why we've used the comparisons on the channel before between Bray Wyatt today and Bray Wyatt of old. The cult leader really did never go away. And is it because cult leader Bray never went away? Is that how he still has power? And the power over Alexa Bliss is that she could pull her tongue out because Bray let her believe she could do it? Maybe. But we haven't seen her do it again, so as of right now, how Alexa Bliss stuck her tongue out like that is an unsolved mystery. And talking of unsolved mysteries, as I said at the start of the video, last week we did part 1, and we looked at this picture, and a lot of you were mad we didn't talk about something specific in it. Something I missed. In the bucket is a head. Now, of course, we spoke about the urn, we spoke about everything else in the picture, but this, I have no idea what this is. To me, it does look like some kind of actual mask, rather than just a head. What the mask is to, no idea. It could be a sheep's mask, you can't really see all of it, so unsolved, I suppose. Now, this image was used in the Firefly Funhouse match with John Cena at WrestleMania. It was the first time cult leader Bray re-emerged, but we also saw this, an apparition, if you will, of Sister Abigail. Bray was talking about her, and it cut to this, and she appeared in the rocking chair, and that was it. We got no more information on it. Now, this was from an old Wyatt family promo, but it's just interesting that they decided to reuse it, showing maybe that Sister Abigail is still part of Bray Wyatt's story in WWE at the time. But even though it was pre-Funhouse, it's still a mystery. Who is she? The fact they showed it surely says that there's some kind of relevance to today, with that character. It could be a hint at Alexa Bliss, it could be a hint at someone else, it could be anything. I have no idea. But you got to admit, the one thing we took away from the Firefly Funhouse match was, now let the puppet do it.
Such good shit.
What is Bray Wyatt's obsession with the NWO? Now, of course, during the Firefly Funhouse match with Cena, we saw him turn into an NWO member. Hollywood John Cena, perhaps? Some of you may not know this, but there actually is an FFH Firefly Funhouse t-shirt on WWE Shop and Euro Shop. They've got one in black and in white. Not in red, not in Wolfpack colours, weirdly. But we also know that Bray's had a thing with Hulk Hogan before. He threatened to put Hulk Hogan on the Wall of Friendship about a year ago on WWE SmackDown. And you gotta wonder, with Alexa Bliss on Alexa's Playground recently hinting about Legends Raw and saying how Hulk Hogan was his idol, that there's maybe more to it with the New World Order. Because you think about it, Bray Wyatt doesn't just say things for the sake of saying things. He says things that mean something. Well, what is the whole obsession with the NWO? And although now it's unlikely to ever happen, Bray has made it very public that he's always wanted to face Sting in WWE. Now, we know Sting actually sided with the NWO when they came to his assistance against D-Generation X in his debut match at WrestleMania. But the icon Sting, the character Sting, was best known for the fact that he didn't like the NWO. He was the vigilante. He was the person who was the thorn in the NWO's side on Nitro and WCW. So if Hulk Hogan was the Fiend's idol and he loved Hulk Hogan, is it possible that Bray wanted to face Sting to get revenge on what Sting did to the NWO and what Sting did to Hulk Hogan in WCW? It's a random out there theory, but I think because Sting's obviously in AEW, it will forever remain unsolved. And while we're on the subject of legends, we know when The Fiend first debuted at WWE, he attacked legends such as Mick Foley, Kane, Jerry the King Lawler, and Kurt Angle. We don't know why. Some people assume he took something from each of these legends. Others assume that it was to make an impact upon his debut in WWE. Others say it's because they wronged him in the past, part of the Bray Wyatt story itself. Clarification of that has never, ever come, and for now, again, remains unsolved. Now, what's coming now is a special Sunday presentation of everyone's favourite Things You Might Have Missed segment in memory of Ramblin Rabbit, who's probably dead somewhere. It's Puppet Watch! Because we really need to talk about Ramblin Rabbit. Now, obviously, Ramblin Rabbit's been a victim of Bray many times. He's been eaten by Mercy the Buzzard. Bray Wyatt's hit him with the Fiend's mallet. We've seen Ramblin Rabbit compete in Hell in a Cell against Mercy the Buzzard. He's been put into a freaking blender and turned into Ramblin Rabbit Bohemian Breakfast Spread, say that 10 times, and poisoned with arsenic. He doesn't have a good time, does he? But what is the secret that Ramblin Rabbit holds? Ramblin Rabbit seems to know a major secret about the Firefly Funhouse, about Bray Wyatt, about The Fiend, and about what's really going on. And I would love to do an interview with Ramblin Rabbit. I mean, it's just literally my lifelong passion at this point, because this dude could spill the beans on everything, and I want to know the answers, goddammit. But we don't know what the actual answers Ramblin Rabbit holds is. And it's so interesting because every time he pops up, you don't know if he's going to give something away, if he's going to tell us a major secret to the Firefly Funhouse itself. And obviously we need to know. But for now, again, it remains unsolved. But this picture alone contains one more unsolved mystery. If Ramblin Rabbit comes back to life after he dies, which we know, how in the blue hell has Ramblin Rabbit come back to life? He's there, right in the centre of your screen. And the Ramblin Rabbit Bohemian Breakfast Spread remains perfectly intact next to all those fruit and vegetables. It's a mystery. Now, let's talk OG Puppet Watch! Before The Fiend made his presence felt on WWE TV, of course, we saw puppets popping up backstage behind different WWE superstars on both Raw and SmackDown. Now, the interesting part of this is they weren't seen. People walked straight past them and we didn't get any acknowledgement. Even recently, they've appeared behind superstars on WWE TV. Primarily on Raw, which is the brand Bray Wyatt is on. It makes sense to do that. But seemingly, people don't see them. So how in the blue hell did R-Truth see who he thought was Bray Wyatt's son, Huskus the Pig Boy, the other week on Monday Night Raw? And not only that, on the exact same show, Matt Riddle, you lucky son of a bitch, saw Ramblin Rabbit and spoke to Ramblin Rabbit. He's literally living my dream. He is literally living my dream. But it happened. How? But don't worry, some good news. We have officially recruited Byron Saxton to do some detective work. He is going to send a text message and hopefully find out some of the big secrets that Ramblin Rabbit holds. And we can report on them then. Cool. Now, if I had to describe the Firefly Funhouse in one word, I think you'd all agree with me that the Firefly Funhouse is... awesome! That's right, strange. Strange because The Miz has faced Bray Wyatt now on 2 different occasions, but he's only ever faced Funhouse Bray. Now, Bray Wyatt has obviously feuded with other people, he's wrestled other people, but that's part of the mind games and part of the story and part of developing that uneasiness, if you will, in his opponent to then finally lead him to The Fiend. Why has The Miz never faced The Fiend? It's a mystery. And on an original note, back to the original Funhouse Puppet Watch, Miz had more puppets behind him than any other WWE superstar, something that might come into play if their feud ever does really kick off. Now, Miz is a movie star in the hit franchise The Marine, but Bray Wyatt actually does have a little star of his own.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
That's right, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. We're talking about it. Now, The Fiend has sung it, and it's actually the theme song, like the music to it, of the Firefly Funhouse intro. Now, the Funhouse intro is also the same as Bar Black Sheep, but I don't see any comparison with that with the Firefly Funhouse. It could be in some kind of relation to the Black Sheep of the Wyatt family, Braun Strowman, but Twinkle Twinkle Little Star is what we have seen mentioned. It's what we've seen The Fiend sing in the episode Fear is Power, just before The Fiend came to the WWE. Now, it's kind of scary that such an innocent nursery rhyme could literally be used in such a demonic way, and I think that's part genius of Bray Wyatt. But genuinely, I have no idea what the relevancy of that song could be with Bray and the Funhouse. Maybe you do, but until you find out, it's a mystery. Now, on the episode Fear is Power, we actually saw flashes of what we think was some kind of mental asylum. Of course, you saw the words "let him in" appear on top of this mental asylum, which we think it is. We don't actually know that's what it was. It does seemingly seem like an old abandoned building. But it did raise the theory, was this all in Bray's mind? Was the Funhouse just his safe place because he was in some wacky mental asylum? Now, again, we can't say that for sure. People have visited the Firefly Funhouse, and that wasn't in a mental asylum. So we don't know. But once again, because we don't know, that's why it makes this video. It's a mystery. Now, also hidden during those flashes was this image, a very creepy image of a doll behind bars. Now, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't seem important at all. But when you consider that very recently on Raw, we saw a doll behind bars on a Moment of Bliss, something may be happening we're not aware of. This is not just a coincidence because it's happening multiple times. And there has to be some kind of relevancy between Bray Wyatt, The Fiend, and Alexa Bliss putting these dolls in a cage, behind bars, locking them up. We don't know what it is, and therefore it is a mystery, but it's a fun one. And maybe another one we gotta go back through the old Funhouse stuff and look and see if this is another trend that we can maybe see and try and work it out. Speaking of dolls, before the Firefly Funhouse even began, we got creepy vignettes air on Raw and SmackDown. Now, we saw during that a doll's house. Now, always the assumption has been, because this preluded the Firefly Funhouse by just a few weeks, this could be a representation of the Firefly Funhouse itself. We know during the same promo, we saw this rocking horse. This rocking horse was having a rabbit on it, killing another stuffed animal, and we recently seen the resurgence of that with Alexa's Playground. Now, with the lighting, you can't tell if it's the same actual horse. Until very recently, Raw's Legends Night, when Boogeyman posted a picture on his Twitter, actually it was a video, and he was riding Alexa's rocking horse backstage at Raw. And it's a perfect example of how this is long-term storytelling. April 15th, 2019, we first saw the rocking horse, and it was literally nearly 2 years later that we saw it return for Alexa Bliss. Now, if that doll's house is a representation of the Firefly Funhouse, you have to wonder about other rooms. We've seen this area, I don't know what you call it, it's got a door, the entrance maybe, the TV being there, the living room perhaps, with a table, maybe it's a living room, dining room area. Now, we've also seen the Wall of Friendship. This was a completely different area of the Firefly Funhouse, hence you don't see those pictures on the current walls in the Funhouse, so we can say this was a different area. Whereabouts it is, I don't know. There was usually a table there, so it would be interesting to know if that was maybe a bigger dining area, perhaps. But it does raise a significant question. If it's a Firefly Fun house, which is what it's titled, it's not a Firefly Fun room, but where's the bedrooms? Where's the bathroom? Where's the basement? Imagine what sick, deprived things Bray Wyatt has in his basement. That would be awesome to find out. I'd love to see the bathroom, mainly because how cool would it be to see Ramblin Rabbit be murdered by being flushed down the toilet, or maybe like being electrocuted in the bathtub. Like, there's so many different ways they could go with that kind of stuff. And obviously, as we mentioned, what's in the basement? Is there a loft? Is there a spare bedroom for Alexa Bliss? I don't know. And it's so interesting to find out. Maybe one day we'll explore the other rooms of the Firefly Funhouse. Now, we also have to mention, as we mentioned the Wall of Friendship, Sister Abigail's portrait. As you can see behind Bray Wyatt has always been an image of Sister Abigail, painted, we assume, by Bray himself. But the funny thing is, everyone else that goes onto the Wall of Friendship is a victim of the Fiend. And they're kind of there because they become Bray Wyatt's friends, as kind of a memento of Bray Wyatt's victory, if you will, after conquering that opponent. Why is Sister Abigail on the Wall of Friendship? Unless she was a victim of the Fiend. It's something we've spoken about on the channel. It's nothing that's been explored in the current Funhouse. It may be in the future, definitely. But it's just an interesting thing to take note of, because they didn't include the picture on fire, like the cabin on fire with Randy Orton that's currently involved in the big story. But this one with Sister Abigail always was included on the actual Wall of Friendship itself. So why? But the biggest mystery for me in the Firefly Funhouse requires, for the third time tonight, Puppet Watch! It's not even Monday, is it? My neighbours are going to hate me. We know there are 4 main Firefly Funhouse puppets: Mercy the Buzzard, Huskus the Pig Boy, Ramblin Rabbit, and Abby the Witch. They are primarily the puppet you'll see involved in some of the episodes. Each have a different meaning in the story of Bray Wyatt. Then, you've got the boss, Devil Vince. And of course, Devil Vince comes in and basically bosses Bray Wyatt around once in a while. Fun. We was introduced to Wobbly Walrus not too long ago in the to-be-continued episode that will finish one day. and the mystery will be solved behind Wobbly Walrus. Of course, there was then Friendship Frog, who proved to all of us Funhouse fanatics that friendship dies. And we know there was Percy, the persevering parrot, the friend we never ever got to meet because Bray Wyatt didn't give him air holes. Rest in peace, Percy. But the question is, how many puppets are there? In this wacky world of the Firefly Funhouse and in Bray Wyatt's weird twisted mind, surely the number could be infinite. We could continually see new puppets added to the Firefly Funhouse cast. Good way to shape things up. Good way to maybe continue merchandising on WWE Shop. We know these puppets sell out like crazy, so it's a good thing if WWE can do it. Just an interesting theory. I really hope we get a sheep puppet, man. That would be really cool. But for now, the amount of Firefly Funhouse puppets that exist remains an unsolved mystery. Well, there you go. That is part 2 of the Firefly Funhouse Unsolved Mysteries. There is genuinely so many of them, and it's really cool. I do love these videos and making fun videos that we can look back on and maybe try and work things out. You guys are creative geniuses yourselves, and the comment section of these videos is brilliant. So please make sure you let me know your thoughts on any of these unsolved mysteries or others in the comment section down below. Please make sure you like the video, and if you are new to the channel, hit the subscribe button and consider turning on those post notifications. It's free. Thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate the support. I will see you as always next time. Peace!